Hey guys, Marisa at KitchenTableStamper.com. I promised that I would make this video. It's been a little while now, so no more reason for it to be a spoiler. This was a card that my customers from the Spring Catalog paper sampler got as a thank you card with their paper. So if you're one of my sampler people, you got this card, and now I'm going to show you how to make it. There is a matching treat box as part of our treat box series. So I'll link these together in the description and in the blog post. So there's that gorgeous treat box. All right, so this card is shortcut card sketch number 10. If you follow Kitchen Table Stamper, you know that we have 12 public shortcut card sketches. So you can get these resources right on the blog, KitchenTableStamper.com. When you get there, you're just going to use the drop down menu in the right sidebar, and you can click over to either shortcut card sketches, which will show you all cards that are made with the shortcut card sketches, or you can pick each individual shortcut card sketch, check out all the samples that are made with that sketch, and grab the free printable PDF. Now, I laminated mine and I keep it in a notebook, so I have a fantastic resource that's already built for myself. And you are welcome to go and grab those sketches. We'll release regular one or new ones regularly. We also have exclusive sketches that go out to email subscribers sometimes, and exclusive sketches for our card club members. So if you like card sketches, go over to KitchenTableStamper.com and grab your free downloadable printable resource. All right, so as you can see, the card that I made with this sketch is pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at the sketch and the pieces that we need, and we'll get started. All right, so level A on my sketch is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Now all of my level A on my shortcut card sketches are this standard card base. You can switch this out for a gate fold or a fun fold of some sort if you want to. You can switch this out for 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5. So these sketches are meant to be a place to help you in your card making, to get you cut the paper, give you confidence to get started. But I say about me, crafty girls do what they want. So if you want to shake it up a little bit, shake it up. That's what it's here for. All right, so that's our level A. It's pebbled path. Now B is 4 by 5 1/4, and I have basic white. C is 1 1/4 by 4 3/4, and I have designer series paper here. And D is 1/2 by 4 3/4, more designer series paper. And then E and F, what I'm gonna do for E and F is just cut out those layers entirely, and we're going to use the gorgeous sprig and our botanical here. That's our E and F layer. So I've got some basic white cardstock to stamp my botanical image, and I've already went ahead and cut this gold leaf, and I did that one. Here's the die, and it is from the Notes of Nature die set. I'm also going to, since I've got this one out here, let me show you. I'm also going to cut the edge of my basic white with this die from Notes of Nature. And then for G, any shape of your choice, I have this pecan pie label. I cut it with this die right here, and this is from the Lovely and Sweet dies, all from this same Mega Sweet. The last little bit I have is for my G layer. I'm going to put a little piece of basic white for my sentiment. This is 5/8 by 2 1/2. All right, it's time to get stamping. Let's move the card sketch here. We'll bring it back when we need it, and get some ink pads. My ink pads for this are pecan pie and pebbled path. I'm gonna start by stamping this botanical. It's almond I just think it's the coolest thing. I love this stamp set. If you haven't looked closely at it, let me bring it in here. This is the Lovely and Sweet stamp set. It's almond, cacao, and vanilla. So what a fantastic and elegant images for treats. And I did in my little treat box some Madeleines, which have kind of an almond flavor. So that's what I got here. It's a great way to give almond, chocolate, vanilla treats in a very elegant sort of way. All right, let's get this stamped on basic white with Pebbled Path. And then we're gonna watercolor and cut it out. Before I watercolor a Stampin' Up! Classic ink stamped image, I like to let it dry entirely or even dry it with a heat tool. And that way the pigments are more stable, and when you go in with a aqua paint or a water brush, you have less chance of smearing your image. So here it is, all dry and ready for us to paint. Since I've got these ink pads open though, let's just turn our attention really quick back to the basic white panel, and let's do a little background stamping and our greeting. That way we can kind of put these ink pads aside once for all. I've got the Field Notes image. This is from the Notes of Nature stamp set. These stamp sets just mix and match so well. We're gonna also use the spatter for our background here. Kind of tie in this white background with the designer series paper. So we're going to stamp that all the way to the right, and then we're going to grab the spatter and bring that, and we're going to just go ahead and stamp right over. I'm going to go off the edge right here. So let me grab a little scrap of paper to keep my work surface clean. All right, there we go. We've got our spatters and our field notes. Let's get our just a little note. The just a little note greeting is also from Notes of Nature. We're going to put it right on the center of this scrap, and then we're going to cut some chicken lips. I've got my tailor tag punch here. That's how I do the chicken lips, but you can use your scissors or a square punch if you don't have this one. There's also the banner triple punch. I think that one is still current from Stampin' Up, and that'll do the chicken lips also. All right, we're done stamping, so let's do some watercoloring. I've got my palette. This is from the Glass Mat Studio. You can get the Glass Mat Studio, which is the glass mat, this palette, and an awesome chamois from Stampin' Up! Right now with your purchase of a starter kit. So it's $99 to get started with Stampin' Up! And you could choose $125 worth of product, anything you like. And then you can either add on the palette and the glass mat, or you can add on an additional $30 worth of product right now during celebration. So if you've ever thought about joining Stampin' Up!, it's a great time to do it. And I do love my glass mat. It gets a little bit reflective with all the lights that I have around. So I don't use it as much in videos, but it makes the most amazing impressions. It's even better than my Stampin' Pierce mat, actually. I really love it. And the palette, if you like to watercolor like I do, the palette is a really great resource to have too. All right, so I've put a drop of each of the colors that I'm going to use, a couple of drops of Lost Lagoon, and then I put the bottle next to the drop because, as you can see, the drops all look the same. And when I watercolor, I like to use the ink at full saturation. That's how I get the vibrant results that I get. I don't add a lot of water to it. I just pick up the ink at full saturation and then start to apply it to the image. And I start at the base like I'm doing here of the leaf, and then kind of move up the center of the leaf and then out from center. And as I do that, you'll see that the color is just naturally moving from darker to lighter. It's doing the shadows and highlights pretty much all by itself, which is pretty awesome. You don't have to be an artist. You just have to know that pick up a lot of ink. You're going to be very saturated, so you want to stay close to the base or the center of your object, and then as you move out from that, just laying down more water and color, it's going to naturally produce shadows and highlights. So we're going to do that for all of our leaves. Just take your time and fill them in, letting the brush clean itself of ink. If you find that it's a little bit too saturated, what I'll do is just drag further away so that water comes down from the brush, but I don't squeeze a lot of water into the ink, because then as it dries, it gets kind of grayed out. It loses its saturation, it loses its vibrance. The pigments get kind of washed apart, so they have less, they're not as close together, and it just kind of loses its shine. All right, so then I'm going to clean my brush thoroughly in between each color. So I just use a little paper towel and squeeze gently and scribble until the brush is clean. Then we're going to pick up the pecan pie for our little almond, and I like to go from the corners in toward the center, just making little like flick strokes, and then I'll go top and bottom and along the seam, and then I'll move out from there. And if I find that it's still a little too dark, it hasn't worked enough of the color off the brush, I'll work it off on the palette and then come back to it. You can also spread it around to another area that needs that same color. And my best advice to you, one that's hard for me sometimes, is don't blend it all to medium. Leave some white for highlights. Don't be afraid of the dark. Go ahead and bring in some full, really full saturation places. The places where you add that full saturation and it looks really dark, those are the places that are going to make your highlights even more zingy by contrast. So don't be afraid of having those dark areas, and don't be afraid of not finishing one area. You can move on to the other spaces, and as the brush starts laying down the shade you're looking for, then you can go back in and move around from there. All right, last one, we're going to change our color again. So gentle squeeze, and now we're going to pick up the petal pink. Now the petal pink, I'm going to really work this off, and then I'm going to move it here to where it's nice and clean. And I'm going to water this down a little bit, but not by squeezing a big puddle of water in there, because I still want those very vibrant pigments. So I've worked my brush. There's lots of petal pink in there, and it's mixed in with the water, and I'm going to start at the center of the flower and just dab to the outside, not completely filling. We're going to have some white highlights at the flower. All right, we'll clean our brush before we put it away. And now we're going to let this dry entirely before we die cut it. And so by the magic of television, I have one here that's colored and completely dry. I'm going to grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and we will cut this out. We're going to have to run two passes. We're going to cut out the almond bloom or blossom or botanical, and then we're going to cut that gorgeous bookbinding edge on our B layer. So let's give this a crank. Love that. So nice and easy. Now let's go back to that basic white layer that we stamped with the background images. Pop that right on there. And I'm going to make sure that your binding image starts and stops with the same pattern. So we want half a circle. So you see I got half a circle here, and there we go, about half a circle there. We're going to have the smallest edge of white, and that's how you'll know if it's straight, is your little edge of white equal just a little bit. All right, I think I got it how I like it. I'm going to put it down with some low tack tape here. All right, we didn't use to see this. I love it. You get the holes for binding as well as the perforated line all the way down the margin of your paper. So cool. All right, let's get this card put together. I'm gonna bring my shortcut card sketch back in here. And I'm going to roll the corners of this B layer a little bit. I like the way it looks, kind of like well-worn pages of a field journal. And we're going to adhere that to the card front. I'm going to use some liquid glue here. And I'm going with a bit of an angle. Now our designer series paper, we're going to add those next to our binding. All right, and then our 4 3/4 by 1/2 inch strip. Let's get some glue on there. All right, so there's our designer series paper, C and D. Now E and F are our botanical and our sprig. So let's go ahead and add those to the card, dimensionals. And then this guy, I'm going to grab a glue dot. Just put one on the back of the stem there. I've got my pecan pie label. It's also got dimensionals on it. We're going to pop that onto the card, and then we can slide this little guy in. I'm not burnishing it down yet because I do have some of this faux leather trim. I'm going to tie a knot in one end, and then I'm going to cut about as much as I need to go nearly across the card. I'm going to put a glue dot on the knot, and then just lift this up gently and put this so it runs underneath across the card. This one can get a little trim. And then this end over here, I'm going to take a glue dot and roll it over so that it's kind of long and skinny. And I'm going to pop that underneath the trim on this side. I love the gold in the branch, and then also in the sparkle. The leather has this just gold sparkle to it. That's really cool. A little bit of liquid glue for my sentiment. Pop that right on the middle of my pecan pie. Now the last touch, if you think that the leather trim with the gold kind of sparkle is cool, these are the adhesive back cork rounds, and they are cool. We're going to just add a couple of those right here. And that is our just a little note shortcut card sketch number 10. All right, you guys, if you have any questions about the project, the sketches, if there's anything that I can do to help you stay crafty, email Marisa at kitchentablestamper.com. And to shop Stampin' Up 24/7, buzz over to marisaalvarez.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.